Very good morning, very good evening to all. Jai Shri Krishna Guruji. Welcome to the Shri Ekanathi Bhagavad Satsang. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Saraswataya Namaha, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha, Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo, Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So we are doing Shri Ekanathi Bhagavad, chapter 2. We will be starting with verse 50 and the sub-verse 693. But before that, a quick end. What is that we'll be doing today is, in the last verse of sub-verse 692, the sage Hari is telling King Janak that I will tell you one more sign of the great devotee whose desire or passion or lust also becomes Lord Narayana. So that is what we're going to learn today. So Ekanathi Bhagavad, chapter 2, verse 50. He is undoubtedly the foremost devotee of the Lord, in whose mind the craving for enjoyment, the impulse for action, and the seeds of future incarnation never sprout, and whose only place of resort is Lord Vishnu alone. In the case of the devotee, what happens is that while continuously meditating on the Rama in the Atman, the desire arising in the heart is transformed as that Rama, and the great God Purushottama is pleased with him and becomes manifest in all his actions. This is very beautiful. What does he mean? See, what he's simply saying is, when you are the devotee of the Lord and when you meditate, and in your heart, you're constantly taking the name of the Divine Lord, or you're just meditating on the lotus feet of your Gurudev, or even Sri Krishna Bhagwan, whatever aspect you meditate on him. So what happens? Your entire being becomes in oneness with that. How is that? First, you focus onto that object and then you defocus. And what happens? You get into that object. The object is within you. That's exactly what he's saying. So he's saying that when you're continuously meditating on the Rama in the Atman, means within the Atma, that is, you're continuously meditating on the Divine Lord, then the desire arising in the heart is transformed as that Rama, and the great God Purushottama is pleased with him. So whatever the desire that is there, everything converts itself into the divinity alone. So remember, we did one verse where the desire itself transforms. The transformation of the desire happens, and I was giving you a very simple example of this body's own life. So when I became the devotee, or before I became the devotee of my Gurudev, I had the ambition. So what did I say? I had all the worldly ambitions. I had a desire. I wanted to become the CEO, chairman of a company. But the same desire, the transformation happens. And then what happened? Today I have to serve the purpose of the Divine Lord. That same desire has taken into the mission of the Divine Lord. The transformation happens. Likewise, that's exactly what he's saying. So here also the heart is transformed. That's exactly, the transformation happens in your heart. And then what happens? And the great God Purushottama is pleased with him and becomes manifest in all his actions. Now, no matter what action you perform, you're only performing for the Divine Lord. And in that action, the divinity itself is manifest. So this is what you need to understand. But for that, you have to completely surrender. You have to be in oneness with the Divine Lord. And this is not achieved in one day or overnight. It takes a while. What is more important is sadhana. You have to continue to practice this. Very simple. Next, whatever desire exists in his heart, they are attracted to Sri Hari. And when thus all the desires are attached to Sri Hari, the devotee has resort in him alone. That is, in him only. How beautiful is it? So what happens? No matter whatever the desires in your heart is, they are all attracted to Sri Hari. So who is the one who is the indweller? Sri Krishna Bhagwan. The Paramatman is within your heart. So what happens? Any desire of any sort in your life, it is all attracted to Sri Hari, and then all the desires are attached to him. The devotee has resort in him alone. So you take resort in the Divine Lord alone. And what happens? He takes care of you. Whatever that he has to give you, it comes as a blessing from him alone. So when the divine Lord gives, then what happens? There is no sin to that. There is no karma accruing to that. But when you have a desire and you go after that, that is when the karma comes about it. So what do I always tell you? If you have a guru in your life and if he's telling you, do this, please follow it blindly. And if he's instructing you, don't do this, kindly don't do that. Because he knows your past, present and future also. Only he can rewrite your destiny. Never ever forget that. But what happens is, when your mind is very active, you tend to give your own two cents. You will say, no, I would like to do this. No, I was thinking about it. After a lot of thinking, I arrived at this point that I want to do this. But your Gurudev's instruction is completely different. Why are you using your mind to think? The most important is you have to stop thinking in spiritual world. The thinking is something that you should not do. But cogitation is important. Contemplation is important, not thinking. So this is very two different things. Contemplation on what is being taught will take you deeper in spiritual world, will give you answers, which is also in Tripura Rahasyam. What is the another word called? Investigation. Instead of that, you allow all the thoughts in your mind to rule you, then you are never going to get the right answer. Do you know why the interpretation is wrong? Very simply, it has taken me many years to understand this. In the initial stages, we come from the material world into spiritual world. And you are still in the material world. Then what happens? Your way of understanding what is being taught is based on the material world. Your mind is thinking. So you are thinking based on what you experience in the material world and attribute all of that in the spiritual world. That is not the way to learn. You have to, that is why my Guruji will tell always, leave everything that you know. The fact that I know, I have done this, all that you need to leave outside and just come with an open heart, a guileless heart and an open mind to get knowledge. If you come with the material worldly way of looking at things, then you are never going to get the right answers. The interpretation of what is being taught to you will be based on your petty mind's way of understanding, and then you're never going to evolve because everything is going to be based on what your mind is telling you. So how will you get the right answer? So for that, kindly stop using the mind in that capacity. You have to only investigate or contemplate on the subject and go deeper in that subject, what is being taught. And the reason why the examples are given, so that you can relate it in your own life, in the way you can understand this knowledge. So very clearly listen, calmly think about it and contemplate on it. Then you will be able to get the answers. And when you get the answers, understand, when you get the spiritual truth, it's like, it reveals, it illumines. When it is illumining in your heart, what happens? That knowledge gets firmed up. And then you progress on the path. Otherwise, you only regress. So, stop thinking. Next, again, I must repeat that whatever desire for sense objects is in the heart of that devotee, it becomes Atmaram, and the turbulence of that desire itself is amalgamated into Atman, the Supreme Person. How beautiful. So, whatever the desire is there in your heart, what happens? It becomes the whatever desire for the sense object in your heart, in the heart of the devotee, it becomes Atmaram. Everything is becoming the divine Lord Shri Krishna Bhagwan alone, Atmaram. And the turbulence, whatever the turbulence that you have, when you have a desire, do you know how anxious one becomes? You want it, come what may. I need my desire to be fulfilled. That is what happens. And in your mind, you have constant craving for that object, that subject, whatever that might be. And that is extremely dangerous. And then what happens? You keep running after the desire, not knowing the repercussions of, getting to the fulfillment of desire. Because every desire has its own, baggage with it. It comes with a huge karma. So that is why we should not go after our desires. You have to just surrender to the divine Lord. He will give you what is right for you. He is anyway going to, provide everything that is required for you. You don't even have to worry about it. Isn't that Krishna Bhagwan tells, I provide full security to my devotee and take care of all their needs. So why are you running after any desire? Don't even bother. Doesn't he know what is your requirement? He knows what his children needs, and he is going to perfectly provide for them without even them opening their mouth and expressing. That is what it is. So then what happens? And the turbulence of the desire itself is amalgamated into Atman. So whatever the turbulence might be, I want this, I want this, I want this, everything then converts itself into the Atman. Then the supreme person. Who's the supreme person? Krishna Bhagavan. The devotion to Hari is the highest thing in the world. It makes the devotee desireless by using his desires only. This is very, very beautiful. If we examine one by one all the desires going backwards, we find that Brahman, which is desireless, is felt at the background. So what happens? Initially, everybody will come with a desire. They can have desires of all sorts of things. See, I give this example a million times. When I came to my Guruji asked, what are your ambition? What is your dreams? What do you want? My desires were like a bottomless pit. I went on narrating to him everything that I wanted. He said, can you just have a stop button right now? Too many desires. It sounded very funny when he said that. Actually, I didn't realize that I had so many desires. I just went on expressing. But I realized how petty that was. And I was very grateful because he pulled out everything out of my system. Today, when I look back, I feel all that was worthless that I ever wanted in my life. It had no value. And that's exactly what he's saying. Then from the same desires, you'll understand. When you become desireless, you will be very grateful. Oh, thank God I didn't get any of those things. I don't even want it. I'm so grateful. You will thank every single day to Krishna Bhagavan. Thank you for not giving me this. Thank you so much for taking care of me. Thank you for removing those desires out of my system. That is exactly what you will tell as you evolve. So the same thing is saying, the devotion to Hari is the highest thing in the world. That's all you need to have. It makes a devotee desireless. So how do you become desireless? By having devotion to Krishna Bhagavan. By using his desires only. You know how he does it? By using your own desires, he will make you desireless. And if we examine one by one, all the desires going backwards. So if you go backwards, examining what are those desires all about, we find that Brahman, which is desireless, is felt at the background. So when you come to the stage of desirelessness, and then you will understand the desirelessness state is the state of Para-Brahman. And in that you don't need anything. You're very happy and contented. What you will experience is the word called contentment with everything that is there in your life. You will take this life itself as a blessing of Krishna Bhagavan. You will experience everything, in a way, in full of love. You're not going to feel miserable. See, misery is a state felt by mind. Because the mind is the one which is acting up. So you have to fill your mind with the name of the Divine Lord or just the chant, whatever that you can do. That is what will help you. Next, if we remember Rama, with every morsel, the whole food becomes Brahman, O King Janaka. In this way, the devotee experiences the state of freedom, though surrounded by objects of the world. Very simple. What is he telling? He's telling, if we remember Krishna Bhagavan, or Rama, with every morsel, every food that you eat, you will say, oh, this is also Brahman. Everything is Para Brahman only. The whole food becomes Brahman. So nothing is, just food grains or any objects. You're seeing God in everything. Why do we say Annapurna Devi? Because that is goddess. And the goddess of the food grains, Annapurna Devi, she is the mother of the food. And we have to respect and revere. And when you see all the food, you understand and appreciate, oh, that is Para Brahman. So everything is Brahman alone. Everything is God. So what happens? You become very contented. And you can see God in everything. So he's saying, O King Janaka, in this way, the devotee experiences the state of freedom, though surrounded by objects of the world. So what is he saying? He's saying, though you're surrounded by all the objects, but yet you have complete freedom because you're detached. You're only seeing God in everything. You're not attached. See, this morning also my Guruji in Tripura Rahasyam, he was very beautifully explaining the word called duty. See, the material worldly duty is very different from the duty which is given to you by your Gurudev. They are two different things. So till you are attached in the material world, the duties of the material world is bound. And that, what he tells you is, you have to do your material worldly duties in detached state. Let me tell you, see, in the detached state, you are not going to be upset about what your boss is going to say. See, when do you get upset? When you're attached to that object. You know, even at home, we get upset if our children don't do certain things. We're upset with our family members. All that upset comes about. Anger comes about. When does that come? When you have an attachment. But if you understand everything is para Brahman, everything is the divine Lord, when you can see God in every being, when you can see Krishna Bhagwan in every being, and you understand nothing is real. And what happens in that state? In that state, you are not going to feel upset. That is the most important thing which you are forgetting. And that is called detachment. Discrimination. Discrimination means what? You understand none of those relatives are yours. You know, yesterday my Guruji was reading a very beautiful verse from Guru Charitra. In that, Narsimha Saraswati is giving one lesson to a lady who has lost her husband. What was he saying to her? Understand that we come together because of our karma, the karmic bond. Because of that, two people come. And what is the two people? It's like he gives an example of a log of wood which is flowing in the river. You come together and then you part apart. You part your ways. So similarly, when one person dies, the person is dying. That's their journey. And please understand, everybody is in that place because of their karma. And nobody can change your karma. You are coming with that karma, come what may. Even, Narsim Saraswati says this, or Shripad Srivallabh says this. What does he say? He's saying karma is something nobody can override. But the only thing is, it can be cushioned. The prarabdha karma can be cushioned by your Gurudev, provided you follow the path. But if you don't follow and you're still going to do whatever you want to do using your ego, using your arrogance, using your desires, all that thing, the Shadripus. What are the Shadripus? Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. And that is what he's explaining, no? Whose desire or passion or lust. What is the three things? Those are the three important, of the 6 enemies. They are the 3 biggest enemies in a human being's life. And because of this, we create more and more of karma. Now, what does your Gurudev do? He ensures, he's teaching you how to perform, selfless action, which means you're not incurring further sins in your life or further karma. So, the detachment comes when you have this understanding that nobody belongs to you. You are there because of your karma. So, you will do whatever the material worldly duties are with a sense of dispassion and detachment. Because you're discriminating that everything, that relationship is not real. It is because of your karmas. So when you embed this knowledge inside of your heart, when this firms up in your heart, then there is no karma going to be. Why? Because you are in the state of detachment. So you will not be getting attached into somebody else's thought process, somebody's saying good things to you, bad things to you, whatever it is. So even if your boss is saying something, you will not be upset about it. Okay, that's because of your karma. You have to meet that man for whatever period of time. And what will you do? You will just do Krishna Arpan. But you will be doing your duties to the best of your abilities, to the highest of your ability. You have to do your job to the T. Means you have to be very good in that job. Why? Because you're serving Krishna Bhagwan. He has given you that job. He has given you that money. He has given you that position there. So be very good in that job. This is what my Guruji will always say. So that way, you will not be able to get into the state of attachment. Then you are not going to upset. See, it's only when you get upset, you get angry, you think, oh, my boss is always saying something nasty to me. And that time you are getting in attachment to him. And then what happens? Then the karma comes in. So when you understand this truth, oh, I just have to do my job. Let him say whatever he wants to. I will be good in my job. And then what happens? That whatever he says doesn't affect you. That is what you have to achieve. So what does he say? So then you'll understand that nothing is going to bother you. So in this way, the devotee experiences a state of freedom, though surrounded by the objects of the world. Though you are surrounded by all sorts of objects in your world, nothing is touching you. Who's saying? This is Sage Hari is telling this to King Janaka. O king, that man who is having great faith in being without any desire is the greatest among the Bhagavatas. He should rightly be called number one. So what is he saying here? He's saying that man who is having great faith in being without any desire is the greatest among the Bhagavatas. So give up all the desires that you have. It's not worth it at all. Whatever might be the desire, kindly give that up. Please understand, whatever is due, whatever might be your desire that you had, the Divine Lord will anyways fulfill without you asking for it. But you don't have the desire. You don't even have that attachment. You don't think about it at all. Just become desireless. Just surrender to the Divine Lord. Things will work in your world. Stay detached. Have dispassion. And discriminate that everything in the world that is happening around you is unreal. It is because of your karma. One is because of your karma. Whoever you come across in your life, whoever you might meet. I have had the worst of the managers in my life. So my Guruji one day told me, Rajma, you know what? It's okay. Understand, this is only a temporary period in time. It is a matter of, we don't even know how long. See, that person is there in your life because of your karma. So when you accept that and go on, you are not going to feel the impact of it. But when you react and you respond, it also depends on how we react and respond. If you are going to feel, oh, it's hurting me, I'm upset and I'm so upset, you're creating more karma. So my Guruji said, just ignore, do Krishna Arpan. It's okay, let him say whatever. He gave me a very nice way to look at it. He'll always make these funny things, as a joke. Just imagine that your boss had a fight with his wife, or he's got some terrible sickness in him. So because of which he's not able to take it out. So he comes to the office and, yells at everybody. Think like that man is having a piles. That is why he's behaving in that way. So will you sympathize with him? Of course, yes. So think like that and be just nice to him. So you are not going to feel anything that he says. You're not going to take it very personally. You just have to do your job, but be good in your job. Give him the due respect, because see, God has put him in that position. So we need to be very good and we have to respect the other person. That's all. I'm not even joking. Every time I looked at him, I said, okay, that man is suffering something terrible. And that is why he's yelling at me or whatever. That's okay. And this gave me the sanity of my mind. Peace. I had peace with me. And then eventually I moved on. So it's all a matter of time. Nothing is permanent in this world. Everything is transient. And whatever that you go through is because of your karma. So my Guruji said, maybe previous life you would have been that nasty person to him. So you're getting it back. So to see what degree we don't know, right? That is why the karma has never been told. So probably this can also, see, the possibilities are this might be a new karma also. We don't know. So why do you want to create further karma? So you stay out of this. That was magic for me. And I'm not joking. It worked out. So that way I was able to insulate myself. So every time I'll remember what my Guruji said and I'll look at it. I look that object in that capacity. It was just magical. But as I grew over a period of time, I know I'm reporting to Krishna Bhagwan. See, my bosses are there. I have to give them the due respect. And you know what? That earned me a lot of respect in the organization. Why? Because I was not affected by what they said, what they didn't say. I was not running after any accolades. Somebody has to praise me. Somebody has to, acknowledge me. I know all that is futile. And that praise, when you understand this truth, that praise or whatever that they're saying, something bad, both comes from the mind's point of view of that person. So anything that is said and done with the mind, it is all unreal. What did I say? The one recognition you need to seek is of your Gurudev. He is the one who will tell you where you stand. That you have to strive to earn his recognition. You want to be recognized in the eyes of Krishna Bhagwan, not any ordinary mortals who are they to, recognize you or not recognize you? At the end of the day, it is Krishna Bhagwan who has to give you that acknowledgement, not anybody else. No human being. So when you make this firm in your life, you will always strive to excel in your life. So my goal is someday in my life, this body's, as a devotee to my Gurudev, I want him to say, I made Rajma, I made her, she's mine. That is what I want to earn. That is all the ambition. Krishna Bhagwan has to be happy that yes, he chose me and I am the best tool in his hands. That is the best acknowledgement you can ever get. So make that your dream. And if you do that way, then everything else, what happens? You get insulated. No, you get freedom from the objects that is surrounding you. We always crave for acknowledgement from our family members, some friends and all. You don't need any acknowledgements from anybody. Understand, you need to be convinced with your own self. You don't have to prove anything to the world. You have to prove to yourself. So becoming the best version of who I am is what is required. So excellence. My Guruji has taught this, don't run after success, money, anything. You have to only strive to excel in everything. Then everything follows automatically. And at that time, you'll understand how futile all that is. Because they're all waste. That is what you have to strive to. So then, he's saying, so that man who's having great faith in being without any desire is the greatest among the Bhagavatas. And that time, you will become the devotee of the Lord. And you are the greatest devotee because you will be the best among the Bhagavatas. And what does Bhagavata mean? Bhagavata means the way of life because you're following Krishna Bhagwan's way of life. He should rightly be called the number one. O king, I have told you the way in which the best devotees behave. Having said these things, the sage Hari began to talk eagerly about the virtues by which the devotees are liked by God. This is a very, very important subject. What is he saying? He's saying next, the sage Hari began to talk eagerly about the virtues. What are the virtues a devotee should have, which is liked by the God? Only then you will get to, and God will love you, and God will open up himself within you. But for that, you have to have these virtues, which is what we have already at 5 p.m. So we will stop here. So which is what we're going to do in the next class, and that's a very important subject. And here comes the role of a guru here. Okay, with that, we will stop here. So we have completed chapter 2, verse 50 and sub-verse 700. Thank you for joining Shri Eknathi Bhagvat Satsang. Have a good day and good evening to you all. God bless.
Recording stopped.